Hello and welcome back to today's video on glaciation in the UK. So this is from the paper 2 section of the exam. It's all about the UK's physical evolving landscape. So it doesn't come into either rivers or coasts, but you will need it overall for your physical landscape. And this will need to be tied into the 8-mark question at the end of this section as well. Okay, so first of all, as you know already, what do you know? So there are 3 different pictures, all to do with glaciation in the UK. What I want you to do, I want you to have a look at these 3 different images. If you pause the video and add any annotations onto each of the pictures for me. Okay, this first picture, you've got a map of the UK, so think about what's going on. Is there a line that you know about on this map that you might be able to annotate? What's taking place? Second one is a type of weathering. And then the third picture is a landform. So pause the video now, get any annotations, get any information that you can do onto this clip for me, please. Okay, perfect. So welcome back. Now it's time for our knowledge refresh. For this, I'm going to get you to use the GCSE pod clip. So I'll add a link to the GCSE pod clip. For this, you might need to log in to be able to add any extra information to your diagrams. So have a little watch of that, add anything extra in that you can, and then we'll run through some feedback for the green pen. Okay, perfect. Welcome back. You should have loads and loads and loads of information on your 3 different images now. So we'll start off with this image here on the left. So the first image, what I have done, I have first of all described the pattern that you can see. So you can see here, the north of the UK is mainly covered in ice. So most of your ice is found in this northern area. Okay, the next piece of information I've added is a piece of knowledge. So this last glacial maximum, so the last time that the ice reached down this far, happened about 11,000 years ago, which was during the last ice age. And then finally, this line that we were talking about, our Edexcel line. So it separates the northern part of the UK to the southern part of the UK. So separating which parts were glaciated and the parts that were not glaciated. This also links in with your geology separation of the UK. So the northern parts of the UK, north of this Edexcel line, you tend to have your harder igneous and metamorphic rocks. And south of this line, this is where we have our sedimentary rocks. Okay, so make sure you've got those annotations on this diagram for me, please. Okay, the next one is about our type of weathering that takes place during our glacial period. Because the temperatures are extremely cold, we get our freeze-thaw weathering or mechanical weathering. So the cold temperatures, what happens is water, when it rains, seeps into the cracks in our rocks, which you can see here. Overnight, the temperatures drop well below freezing, which causes the water to freeze. When water freezes, it expands. So you'll notice this when you have an ice cubes and you put them in the freezer, or if you put a can of Coke, or if you put a bottle of water in the freezer. When you take it out, it's expanded and cans tend to explode. Because that liquid expands, this leads to a force breaking your rock apart. So you can see that here. The force of the water as it expands has cracked this rock and broken it. And then the third and final picture, all of this ice that has taken place, all of this freeze-thaw weathering, all of this ice, when it moves, when it weathers, it creates the formation of our U-shaped valleys. So we can see that here. In the exam, they could give you a picture of a U-shaped valley, and they could ask you to explain how this is formed. They could ask you to identify which part of the UK this is from. And all of that ties into these 3 images here. So U-shaped valleys, the best way to identify them is that they have a flat bottom. So you can see that here. And then they have extremely steep sides either side. So this creates this U-shaped. The other type of valley we have is a V-shaped, and that doesn't occur where ice has been. So that's how you can distinguish between the 2. And this happens when the ice moves across the landscape, it erodes it, it breaks it away, creating this U-shaped valley. So U-shaped valleys are only going to be found here in the north of the UK. Because they're created by ice, they cannot be formed south of this Tx line. Because there's no ice, it wasn't glaciated here. So they can only be found in our upland areas of the UK, north of this Tx line. So bear that in mind. There's lots and lots of information here that links these three images together. And you need to be able to interpret this information from maps and from images to be able to explain these processes and to be able to explain how these landforms are created. So if you have any questions about this or you want to know anything more, just drop me an email, drop me a comment, and I'll be able to help you and give you any support and feedback with these three different processes and landforms. Okay, so if you get that green pen on, give the video a pause now, add anything extra that you need to for me. Okay, perfect. So welcome back. Now we're moving on to the exam practice section of the exam. So this is a past question that I'm going to show you. I believe you have seen this question before during some of our PPEs and mocks throughout the year. So the question is as follows. Explain one way in which glaciation has affected the physical landscape of the UK. So there's quite a lot of keywords in there, and it can sound quite complex and confusing when you first read this question. So we'll break this down together, so you can pause the clip, have an annotation on there for me, please, have a go yourself, and then we'll go through these annotations together. Okay, perfect. So you should have some annotations like the ones you can see in front of you now. So the command word why, okay, is asking you to explain. So why has something happened or how it has happened? The amount is 1, so you're just given 1 point, one reason here. And then our two keywords, so glaciation, this is what we've just spoke about. So this is when the north of the UK was mostly covered in ice. So this last happened about 11,000 years ago. And then the second keyword is physical landscape. So remember, your physical landscape is natural. It is nothing to do with humans, nothing to do with people. And the next thing that I want to draw your attention to here is affected. So how has glaciation affected or changed the natural features of the UK? So what I want you to do, I want you to pause that for me now. You've got 2 minutes. Have a go, answer the question. Try and do it without the notes from above. But if you need to, you can have a little bit of a flick back at your notes, have a look at your annotations, and give this question a go for me, please. So if you pause the clip now and have a go at that for me. Perfect. So you should have your answer in front of you now. I'm going to read through this answer with you. As I said, this is a past question. So I've taken this model answer directly from the mark scheme. So this is what the exam board gave us examiners, what to look out for and where the marks were available. So moving ice, glaciers, have modified or eroded the valley. So there's your first point here. Okay, eroded the valley. So you need to have said something about ice causing erosion. So have a look, see if you've got ice eroding. That's what you do need to do to get your first mark for this question. Okay, so let's have a look at how this gives you a second mark. So by widening them and deepening them through glacial abrasion, creating U-shaped valleys. So this is the next point that I think most of you would have. So if you've written about the formation of U-shaped valleys, that's enough to get your second mark here. So the first mark is for identifying about U-shaped valleys. The second mark is for talking about the ice that is eroding the landscape to create this. Okay, so for kind of best practice, it would be important to make sure that you've said about how this erosion is taking place. So it's widening and deepening the valley to create this U shape. Okay, they've also thrown in one of their keywords there, so abrasion. We looked at this in one of our other video clips. So this is the sandpaper. So when the glaciers rub against the rock below of our valley, it's like sandpaper and it rubs away that valley bottom. It scrapes it away to create this U-shaped. So it's exactly the same as rivers in that sense, exactly the same as coast. The abrasion is what is the erosion. It's scraping away that valley floor.
Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed the clip and found it useful for all your geography revision needs, please hit the like button below. If you want access to more content like this, more revision playlists, more exam technique and feedback, please subscribe to the channel. Regular content will be added and updated to help support you on your GCSE journey.